Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So Dan Quinn had his Misery Monday press conference, and this one was a little bit unique. They are heading to Madrid today, so things had to be expedited, and it's going to be a different week for the Commanders, one that they probably need. He said that in his press conference. We will dive into his press conference a little bit later on when we get to In Other News, but the biggest takeaway from the press conference is the thing that made headlines. You already know this by now. If you don't, Dan Quinn led off his press conference by telling everyone he was assuming play calling responsibilities on the defensive side of the football, meaning Joe Whitt Jr. was being relieved of his play calling duties, reassigned to a very ambiguous, title on the team. My thought process is that, how about you just get rid of the current defensive backs coach, right? He seems to be basic as hell, as is. And how about you just give Joe Whitt Jr. the title of defensive backs coach? Let him have the secondary. That's the thing he's supposed to specialize at. Let him work closely with Jason Simmons on just getting this secondary group back. And it sucks that, Trey Amos, we got some news on him. We'll talk about Trey Amos a little bit later on in the show. But just let him focus on the thing that he's supposed to be really good at, the thing he was good at in Green Bay, the thing he was good at in Dallas. Let him focus on that. That's what I would have done. Reassigned him to being the defensive backs coach. Fire your current defensive backs coach. And that might be a really shitty thing to do, but we're not getting any results. We're not producing the football. That's the thing that Joe Whitt is supposed to be really good at. Let him focus solely on that secondary, that cornerback, that defensive backs room, and see if you can't get those guys playing at a much higher level. That's what I would have done with him. Right now, he wasn't going to fire him. That's his boy. And he even said it like, that's my guy. That's my right-hand man. I'm not, not firing him. So, and again, Joe Whitt Jr. isn't toxic. He's not a guy that I don't even want to see his face. That's not the energy I have for him. Just reassign him, right? Put him where he probably should be, right? He thought he was cut out to be a defensive coordinator. Maybe he is, and the pieces that he was given wasn't good enough, but it doesn't feel like he's supposed to be a defensive coordinator. He's supposed to be a positional coach. And maybe that's where he thrives, and that's where he should be. So anyway, Dan Quinn led off the press conference by saying, hey, I had a chance to look at the film, and what I've decided is that I'm going to take over the defensive play calling responsibilities moving forward. And while that's a sigh of relief for us as fans, and it's something that I think most people expected, some people think, shit, this should have taken place. I know Candy came on the program. You guys watched last week. If you didn't, I told you should be watching when I have Seawall Wednesdays. She basically said, I hinted at this after week 4. She asked the question after week 7's game against Dallas. Have you thought about taking over or being more involved in the play calling responsibility? Candy asked that question after the Dallas game. So she's like, in week 7, the gears were turning in my head about what needed to be done. She said, and which should have come down from the booth after the week 4 game. So a lot of people felt like this move should have been done a lot sooner. My question to you is this too little too late? Is this JoJo? Oh, it's just a little too late. Is this too little too late? Or are you of the mindset of it's never the wrong time to do the right thing? Took him long enough. It was a painful decision, but he did the right thing. He finally ripped the Band-Aid off and said, I got to do this. Now, my question to DQ is a totally different question, because we knew change had to be made at defensive coordinator. I said this yesterday. I said, something's got to be done. You can't have what happened yesterday. And you could have said that after Seattle. You probably could have said that after Dallas. But this right here, this is 2 weeks in a row. Seattle first half, this entire game. At least with the Chiefs game the week prior to Seattle, you saw some hope, a glimmer and a ray of hope. So maybe that bought him a little bit more time. But there's no excuse for the Detroit game. they were having fun. That was 7-on-7. I said something had to be done. Something had to be done. You already did. We already said the bringing him down from the booth to the sideline was a precursor to him not being the defensive play caller. We all admitted that that was what that was. That was the equivalent of getting a conduct notice. Your next one is a referral and you're getting suspended. Well, my question to DQ is, did you make the right decision by taking over the play calling duties yourself? This is a bad defense and you have no personnel. Because here's the thing. I said this, I meant this. This is a real thing. You can't be a defensive-minded coach. You can't be an offensive-minded head coach and that side of the ball not be in tip-top shape, not be the catalyst that drives your football team. If there's one thing that has to be intact, it's the side of the football that you specialize in. DQ has been here for 2 years now, and the defense has sucked for 2 years now. So that's a problem. Naturally, you want to be a fixer. You want to step in and say, all right, I'll take care of this. I'll do it. I'll fix it myself. But this defense stinks really bad. And when we talk about all the injuries, we talk about the lack of talent, like DQ last night in his press conference. I don't know if you guys watched his press conference last night, but in his press conference, he said, and remember, I mocked him last week for this. I mocked him because I thought it was a farce. Like, that's some bullshit as, you know, excuse that you're trying to make for yourself or make for the team that doesn't make any sense, because those of us who have watched know that that's not the issue. When he tried to tell us that it's guys over trying. Oh, man, I really wanted that pick, so I jumped that route, and now the guy got behind me. Ah, oh, darn it. No, I said that's not what's happening, DQ. Ain't nobody over trying. These guys stink. Ain't no over trying taking place. It ain't somebody. We ain't seen a guy since DQ got here. Shit, you can go all the way back to the Ron Rivera. We ain't seen a dude jump a route here in about 6-7 years. Ain't nobody over trying. Oh, I just want to make a play so bad. When the last time you seen a guy jump a route? Like, go get the football. We don't do that here. If we get an interception, it's on a tip or an overthrow. Or it's just a bad football, right? But it's never a guy making a play. So I'm like, this ain't about somebody's eyes being in the backfield and being nosy, keying quarterback's eyes. Oh, I see where he's going, and I'm going to try to pick this off. I'm going to jump this route, and oh, shit, I done left my luggage. My shit going down the sideline. That ain't what was going on. I said, DQ, you bullshitting us right now, bro, and I don't appreciate it. Because the one thing I've appreciated about you is you ain't bullshitted me since you got here. You done kept it real with me. You done kept it a buck with me the entire time. I said, you bullshitting me right now, DQ, because this ain't got nothing to do with overtrying. So last night he said, oh, this ain't got nothing to do with overtrying. Yeah, remember I told y'all during the week it was overtrying. He said, no, this ain't got nothing to do with overtrying. He didn't elaborate, but he basically said without saying, no, we just got our asses whooped. They were better than us. They out-schemed us. He went all the way to the line without crossing it. But he said, no, this wasn't a over-trying situation. I'm like, duh, I told you that last week, bro. Don't try to play in my face, man. We watched this shit. You could have got away with this 25, 30 years ago when people weren't living and breathing with every single thing that happens with this team. We follow this shit way too close for you to sit here and try to lie in our face. So now my question to you, DQ, is, do you really want to do this? Because the easy thing for him to have done here, right, is to just elevate Ken Norton or some other helpless guy on the staff to take over this mess of a defense. Because at the end of the day, do any of us believe that DQ taking over the defensive play calling is going to change a goddamn thing? I hope it does, for his sake. Because if this, look, it's almost like a no-win situation for DQ here, right? Because if you promote somebody else to this position, you demote Joe Whitt Jr. and you promote somebody else. And I don't know how well that would go over in the locker room. I don't know how well that would go over with the staff if Whitt's still here, but it ain't you to like. The only thing that would allow Whitt to step down and feel comfortable with it is he say, I got it, Joe. I appreciate you, but I got it. It's hard for Joe Whitt to acknowledge, I'm going to give it to Daryl, right? Daryl tapped defensive line call. I'm going to give it to Daryl and let's see what Daryl can do, right? I'm going to give it to Ken, the linebackers coach, see what Ken can do. That's a bitter pill to swallow, right? Then you might have to move on from Joe at that point because it could be a little awkward, right? With Dan taking over, it's like, okay, the head coach is taking over. I can live with that, right? And he's got a track record of being successful in this league as a defensive play caller. I can fall back and let him take over. However, if the shit didn't go well with, say, Ken Norton, we could just say, hey, this shit still ain't going well. What you gonna do about it? At least you can still kind of fan the flames a bit. Keep it off of you. If the shit gets better, then we know who the problem was, right? We know who the problem was. But what if the shit doesn't get better, which is the most likely outcome because this defense is horrendous and the injuries continue to pile up? What if this shit doesn't get better? Which is remember when Ron Rivera got rid of Jack Del Rio and took over the play calling? And remember, the shit didn't get better, it got worse. That's a sign of desperation, not necessarily that DQ is desperate here, which he is, but it's not desperate for the same reasons Ron Rivera was desperate. Ron knew he was getting fired, and this was his last-ditch effort to try to save face. DQ isn't desperate in the sense of getting fired. He's desperate in trying to turn this lost season around. Like, he's searching for answers. I told my wife this morning, and I told the Commanders Kings in our text group, DQ he's searching, bro. He's out of answers. His crystal ball dome don't have the answers right now. He's simply out of answers. He doesn't know what the hell to do. He was flummoxed. That's the word I use. He was flummoxed at the press conference after the game yesterday. You can tell he's exhausted everything in his, mental Rolodex that he could go to try to fix this. And there's been no answer, and it's only gotten worse. This is his last-ditch effort to try to save the defense this year. What if it doesn't work? Now you're public enemy number one. Now you're the scapegoat, which is why this is a slippery slope. This is a dangerous operation that he's embarking upon because the easy thing was to just get another scapegoat in there, bruh. Stick Ken Norton Jr. and let everybody hate him for the next 5-6 weeks. And then at season's end, you can try to fix this thing. And even if that's you calling the plays next year, at least you get a clean slate with a brand new cast of characters that you can say, all right, I got it now, right? But if you go in here, you take over, and this shit looks like, because it could very well look like it did last week against Miami. And that'll be even worse because at least Detroit, it's valid, right? At least Detroit, it's valid. And the irony here is when Ron Rivera fired Jack Del Rio, it was after Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving game against Dallas. The next game on the schedule was the Miami Dolphins. And they shitted on us the next week too. And it was just as bad. It was probably worse, right? Because they had 40-something points midway through the third quarter. Tyreek Hill putting his hand up on poor defenseless rookie safety. Quan Martin. We got to start calling him Jartavius too. Like, you don't get cool nicknames when you out here stinking it up. But we're going to stick with Quan for now. We're not going to call him Jartavius just yet. We're heading down that path, though. Again, slippery slope here. But Quan Martin, one-on-one with Tyreek. Tyreek just put his hand up like, hey, man, they got this safety on me, bro. Throw me the rock. Throw me the rock. That shit was 45-10 or some shit. That was they got them having, practice on what the damn celebration going to be in the end zone and shit. That was Miami too. It's just very coincidental, right? It's eerie even that the Dolphins are next up on the schedule. And we've just made this move with our coordinator, or at least the play calling responsibilities. Interesting. But I want to reiterate for Dan Quinn, this is some slippery slope shit. This is very dangerous territory you walking into, my man. Because if it goes well, great. Then people are going to say, you should have did it sooner, right? You can't win here, bro. You can't win here. Because if it works and the defense looks better, which is highly unlikely, they're going to say, you should have took over this shit after the Dallas game. You should have took over this shit after the Falcons game. You should have done this sooner. If it doesn't get better, which is, again, the more likely scenario, now they're going to point their finger at you. Now the ire of all of their disdain and all of their frustration now centers around you. The easy thing to do here, and again, he said, doing hard shit with good people. This is some hard shit right here he's about to embark upon. This is some hard shit. Because the easy thing would have been, let me promote one of these positional coaches to the play calling responsibility. I can shadow the dude, but at least if the shit goes sideways, I got a fall guy, and it ain't me. You take over here and it doesn't go well. What you've effectively done is you've expedited your expiration date. That's the crazy part about this. You can't win here, bro. I don't know if this was the best decision for him to make. He probably felt like it was the only decision for him to make. But I'm not sure it was the best decision, because what you couldn't do is you couldn't keep Joe Whitt Jr. in as the defensive play caller. You couldn't do that. You had to do something. But you didn't have to make yourself the play caller. You didn't have to do that. Because again, if it doesn't work, now they got pitchforks and torches out for you. And it ain't no coming back from that. There ain't no coming back from that. Anyway, I digress. We're going to see how this goes. This could be the beginning of the end for Dan Quinn. He could be literally digging his own grave with this decision. Something had to be done. I'm not sure if it had to be this, though. Could have made somebody else the scapegoat and the fall guy. You could have pushed off your, because eventually he was going to have to be the defensive play caller. Eventually. That could have waited until next year. If you ask me, I'm not starting my defensive play calling in the midst of this shit. I just lost another guy for the season defensively. I'm not doing this shit right now. Somebody else has got to take this shit. It's no different than in the NBA or even in the NFL, but more like this is more of an NBA thing where you know you're going to suck for the next 3 years. You're not going to hire the guy that you think is going to get you to where you're ultimately going to go. You're going to hire a guy to take you the lumps, all the losing and all of that shit. Somebody's got to eat these losses while you get these young guys the experience they need in the league. And then Nick Nurse, anybody in Philadelphia, right? And while all of this losing is going on, or I don't know if it's Nick Nurse, I might have called the wrong name, but whoever the guy was that had the Joel Embiid plan, what was it called? Damn, it was called something. But that GM got fired and the head coach that was there got fired. They weren't there to see the 76ers, finally get to where they were ultimately going now. They still only got to the second round of the playoffs, but it was better than where they were at that time. But you guys know what I'm talking about. This is what you were supposed to implement. Yeah, a fall guy to eat the rest of these games this season. And then next year you can say, all right, I'm taking over the play calling. I'm the defensive coordinator now, as well as the head coach. Right? We can have a de facto defensive coordinator in title, but I'm calling the plays defensively. Hell, Joe could even keep the defensive coordinator title for all I care, but I'm calling the plays now. And you could have started fresh next year. Trust the process. That's what it was called. Trust the process. Thank you, guys. The process. Trust the process. And it could have been one of those type of situations. But in any event, we'll see where this goes. DQ, I'm praying for you, guy, because this could go really sideways. And if it does, you're going to be the next casualty, unfortunately. It's crazy that just a year ago this time, we were 7-2. And we were talking about what a great job AP, DQ, this staff, everyone had done to turn this thing around so quickly. And now a year later, same guys, same group, Totally different result, polar opposite results. And now we're talking about DQ potentially losing his job, which could definitely happen at season's end if this defense continues to play the way that they're playing right now under his watch with his play calling. All right, DQ, you better get this shit right, my man. I hope you made the right decision. I hope you made the right decision, guy, because this shit could get dark for you real quick if you did not. All right, let's get a word from one of our sponsors before we go to In Other News, and then we'll talk about what DQ said at his press conference. We'll look at some numbers from yesterday's game, specifically the snap counts. I think that is very important for us moving forward, who's playing and how much, and then we'll get to your comments. Let's get a word from our sponsor, Sleeper. Sleeper is the best way to experience and connect over sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all of your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat in the games in real time with other users, get the fastest scores, blazing fast news and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports the way they were meant to, together. Download the #1 sports app today. Predict the hottest football stats like passing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and much more to cash in on your daily fantasy football skills. Use promo code LTN and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Sleeper. All right, so we've now gone to In Other News, where we'll hear or we'll talk about and react to what DQ had to say at his press conference. It was a brief one today because, as I mentioned, they've got to hit the road and they're going to wheels up as they head over to Madrid. They're going to spend the week there. He talked about kind of recalibrating, which is very necessary for this team. We see the state that they're currently in. Deron Payne was suspended. If you didn't know, 1-game suspension. I think all of us expected a 1-game suspension based off of what happened yesterday in the game, him throwing a punch at Amon-Ra St. Brown. None of us have ever seen the evidence. Javon Kinlaw said after the game that Amon-Ra St. Brown threw the first punch. We haven't seen visual evidence of that. I don't know if the NFL, they've got cameras everywhere. I would like to think that they would have access to everything that went on after that play. We only saw Deron throw the punch, and he's been suspended. Frankly, I don't want Amon-Ra St. Brown suspended because the Lions play the Eagles next week. So if he did throw a punch, let's just keep that under wraps until after next week, which is not going to happen. If he's done anything like that, he would be punished right away. But anyway, Deron is supposed to be appealing that. We'll talk more about that. Let's get to the snap counts, and then we'll talk about what DQ had to say. We haven't done this in a little while. That's negligent on my part. I apologize. This is something that now that we've gotten to the portion of the season where the young guys have to start playing, and they need to start playing more. I think it is imperative that we start looking at these snap counts because obviously the veterans are going to still play. They're still trying to win games, etc. I get it. I understand. But they got to start working some of these young guys in there and giving them opportunities. So one of the things that has been just striking for me this year is the amount of offensive snaps we've had. And at first, it was because of the offense themselves. Like, they weren't producing offensively. They weren't converting on third downs. They weren't extending drives. So it allowed them to not have as many snaps, right? Now, this has become a defensive problem. We don't get stops anymore. So the other team is eating up time of possession. The other team is possessing the football, and our offense just simply isn't getting opportunities to have the football because the other team is scoring every time they have it. Right? It's a 9-play drive. It's an 8-play drive. It's an 11-play drive. It's another 9-play drive. It's another 8-play drive. It's another 10-play drive. And so that doesn't allow your offense to be. Last year, we would have lost our minds if we would have seen a game where the most offensive snaps we had was 54. We'd have lost our shit. Every game, bare minimum, 62 snaps was as low as you were going to go. But we were usually somewhere hovering around the 70s or in the 70s. We were controlling the action. We were putting together these long, elongated drives that were allowing us to win time of possession, keeping the defense off the field. Now it's the opposition doing it to us. Another game in which 54 snaps is the offensive total. That is, you're not winning with 54 offensive snaps unless you're scoring with explosive plays. You're not winning the game with 54 offensive snaps. This has been a problem all season long. Connolly and Chris Paul were the only two to play every single offensive snap in the game. As you know, they took out a lot of the offensive starters towards the end of the game when it was out of reach. Laramie Tunsil, Sam Cosmi, Tyler Biotish, all taken out as veterans. So they all only played 54 snaps. Mariota was taken out. Same thing. No reason to have them. 3 handoffs for Josh Johnson. And that was pretty much all she wrote. The Lions took over and took some knees and got out of there. Zach Ertz, 44 snaps. So 81% of the snaps for Zach Ertz. Like, that's ridiculous. Now, and I get it. Ertz is a guy that they still, and he made some plays yesterday, right? Like, the offense didn't do anything wrong. I don't really want to make this an offensive issue because the offense scored 22 points. The offense was very effective yesterday in almost every metric except for third downs, where they continue to struggle. They were 2 of 10 on third downs yesterday, but they were 3 of 3 on fourth downs yesterday was the offense. They were 3 of 3 in the red zone. So every time they got in the red zone, they scored a touchdown. Like, they kicked a field goal yesterday and actually made it. I got nothing bad to say about the offense. They didn't get enough chances. It's unfair to ask the offense to have to score a touchdown on every single possession they get the football, because if they don't, they're not going to win the game. That's ridiculous. But Ertz playing 44 snaps, 81% is also ridiculous. We need to see more Ben Sinnott. And I know they're not there yet, but at some point, this has to shift. Ertz understands. He gets it. This has to shift at some point. Sinnott, just because of the correlation, John Bates, 38 snaps. Like, I'm cool with John Bates playing, those 44 snaps Ertz is playing, because if we're running the ball, Bates is out there. If we're throwing the ball, Bates is probably out there anyway, right? So I'm not upset at Bates having 70% of the snaps at 38. This is the problem right here. Ben Sinnott, 21 snaps, 39%. Like, I'm not telling you that that Ertz can't play, but his number and Sinnott's number, there can't be a 23 snap discrepancy between the two. Like, that gap needs to close considerably to where Ertz is playing 33 snaps, Sinnott's playing 32, right? 11 less snaps for Ertz, 11 more for Ben Sinnott, so he can get some more opportunities. It's not like Ertz is out here getting 9 targets a game. Get Sinnott more opportunities. And this whole notion, again, I struggle with this. You guys know I struggle with this. This whole notion of, well, we got Zach Ertz and, it's tough. No, it's not tough. I see the Ravens have 2 tight ends, Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. They don't have a problem getting Isaiah Likely on the field and getting him opportunities. The Buffalo Bills have 2 tight ends, or they had 2 tight ends. One just got injured in Dalton Kincaid, but they got Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. The Rams have 4 tight ends that get the football every week. 4 of them. And yet we struggle to get our second round pick opportunities to touch the football. I don't want to hear that. My ears are immune to you telling me that, oh, we got Zach Ertz. I don't care. I don't care. I didn't care last year when Ertz was putting up the numbers he put up. I still felt like there should have been packages that you put in to get Ben Sinnott. You can't throw Ben Sinnott a tight end screen. I'm not telling you to do that every week, but every 3 or 4 weeks, you can't get him in there, block, 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 tight end screen. You can't do that. You can't get him to touch in his hand so he's got the football so we can see this guy in action. I'm not buying that, man. You can't convince me that you can't get one of your players more involved. You are just making a conscious and concerted effort not to get him the football, to make him a blocker. That's a you problem. Debo, 42 reps, snaps, 78%, which is to be expected. He's the best we've got at the receiver position right now. Bill, 24 snaps. I knew his count would come down. I'm shocked at Rodriguez only having 18. Now, I know he got injured, right? I know he got injured. But I think he was going to end up with right around the same amount, if not slightly less than Bill in this game anyway. Shocked that he didn't get more snaps. Shocked that he didn't get more touches and carries. Traylon Burks, or Traylon Burks, excuse me. Trey Burks. We're just going to call him Trey. Shit. 21 reps or snaps, 39%. I like it. I want to see this number increase. I like it. He showed well in his 21 snaps. What did he have? About 3 or 4 catches yesterday, and 2 of them were highly contested. Like what I saw. Want to see more. And that's one of those guys that is auditioning for next year. He's auditioning for next year. Chris Rodriguez, as I just mentioned, 18 snaps, got injured. What's new, right? Hurt his shoulder. I don't know the severity of it. Jeremy McNichols, 17. Jalen Lane, 15. He made a catch yesterday. He made a catch. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Robbie Chosen did not look like the chosen one yesterday. He looked very irrelevant yesterday. And again, my whole thing is, why is he here? Like, not here, excuse me. Why is he active? Why not Ja'Cory Brooks? Like, is he that bad? Is Ja'Cory Brooks that bad that we got to, like, the whole trying to put the veterans in there to give us a bet? That's over with, guys. Can we just acknowledge where we are? Again, we got to live in our truth. 32-year-old Robbie Chosen isn't the answer. You know who could be? 24-year-old Ja'Cory Brooks. Let's see him from the practice squad and not Robbie Chosen. That's my whole debate and argument. Why are we doing this with Robbie? I actually like Robbie, and I liked him when we still had a competitive portion of the season left. That season is now gone. It is past us. Now we should be in the evaluation process. Let's evaluate Ja'Cory Brooks. Let's do that. Not Robbie Chosen. We know who he is as an NFL player. Chris Moore, I love that he only had 11 snaps, right? I want less of Chris, not more. Colson Yankoff, 4 snaps. To be expected his first week back from the injury. Not that he's going to get reps anyway. He only got those 4 reps probably at the end of the game when we took all the starters out. Andrew Wiley, 3 reps. Brandon Coleman, 3. Nick Allegretti, Josh. They all came in at the end on that final possession when they had taken the guys out. So that's the offensive snap counts. Let's get to the defensive side now. And Bobby Wagner and Quan Martin played 100% of the snaps. As you can see, 70 snaps. That's domination. Right? That's domination on the part of the opposing team's offense. 70 snaps to our 54. That's going to get your ass beat every time. That's BTA activity every day of the week. 61 for Mike Sainristil, 60 for Frankie Louvu, 55 for Jonathan Jones, 54 for Jeremy Reeves. You notice we have not yet come up on any of the young guys. No Jordan McGee, no Tyler Owens. I don't care if these guys suck. They need to be out there. The defense sucks. With those guys not out there. Just put them out there. Right? So, still all veterans, right? And again, I mean, how many young guys do we actually have anyway that we could put in the game? That's also the problem on defense in particular. Offense, I think there's enough young guys that you can put out there. I want to see Bill. I do. I understand that C-Rod might be the better option if you're trying to get something. I don't care. Give me Bill, please. Right? I don't Robbie Chosen's probably better. I don't care. Give me Ja'Cory Brooks, please. I want to see Trey Burks now. Like, I don't need to. I want to see more Jalen Lane. I know he's not supposed to be out there for that, but this is where we are, right? There are more young guys on offense that we can put out there. Ben Sinnott, can I see more of him, please? Defensively, we don't have the guys. We just don't. That's the sad part about defense. We don't have any young guys who say, hey, enough of this guy, put that guy in. We don't really have a lot of those. Ale Cajo tries to decapitate himself every week. He's on special teams. Kay Madrano's not active every week. Newsflash, I don't think they think he can play. If you just want me to tell you and be abundantly clear with you, fully transparent, they don't think he can play. Stop having your UCLA buddies occupy roster spots here, Adam Peters. Okay? Enough of that shit, too. Jacob Martin, 44 snaps. Javon Kinlaw, 41. Sheldon Day had to play more because Deron Payne got ejected, so that's why you see his snap count being so high. Eddie Goldman, 36 snaps. Noah Igbenogany, 35. Von Miller, 34. This is ridiculous. I mean, Von Miller should never be playing 34 snaps when you out of 70. That's half the snaps, damn near. It's not what we brought Von Miller here to do, right? First of all, we shouldn't be on the field 70 damn snaps in the first place. I mean, had Eddie Goldman and Sheldon Day playing over 50% of the snap. You're cruising for a bruising, okay? You're cruising for a bruising. The only name not here is the name that will not be spoken by me, because if I do it, somehow he'll end up back on this roster. You know who the hell I'm talking about. That's the only thing missing here is CD on this damn roster. And you know, I ain't talking about CD Lamb. Preston Smith. Preston Smith, 31 snaps? Someone put me out of my misery. Take me out back. Pop, pop. Take me out of my misery. Preston Smith, 31 snaps. Help us all. Trey Amos, 29 snaps. Johnny Newton, 28. Jordan McGee, 27. That's not a bad number, but it ain't a good number. I need him up here with Jacob Martin, 44. I need him up there in the 40s somewhere. Figure it out. Figure it out. Deron Payne, as we know, ejected, 23 snaps. Darnell Savage, 18. Antonio Hamilton had to come out there after Trey Amos's injury, and then Jonathan Jones went down for a little bit, and so we had Antonio Hamilton Sr. on the field, guys. Somebody in the mob chat yesterday said, "Who the hell is 34?" Antonio Hamilton Sr. is 34. I had to tell that person. You know, we got some young corners on the practice squad, right? Like the Darius Rush kid from South Carolina. You telling me he can't play special teams? Like, I don't need to see 31-year-old Antonio Hamilton Sr. I don't know how old he is, 29, 30, 31, 32. He's one of those ages. I don't need to see him. Can the ODU product play? Can the South Carolina kid play? If not, why the hell are they here? You see what I'm saying? And Nick Bellore, 1 snap defensively. And Percy Butler is the last name down at the bottom. He had 1 snap as well. So, all right. So let's now get to Dan Quinn's press conference and talk about what he had to say. He started out his press conference by telling us he was taking over the defensive play calling duties, that Joe Whitt Jr. was being, removed, but that's his right-hand man. He made sure to very, very profoundly profess that this is my guy, Joe Whitt Jr. is. He was with me in Dallas. I trust him. He ain't going nowhere, basically, is what he said without saying it. Then he said, Trey Amos, more bad news. Fractured fibula. He's going to be out for an extended period. I'm like, DQ, just say the man is done for the season. He got to be the only coach in the league that don't say he's done for the year. He's out indefinitely. Duh. He fractured his fibula. At a bare minimum, that's a 4-month process on the road to recovery. Shout out to the Rook, man. Speedy recovery, bruh. You're one of the few bright spots we had defensively this year. We knew you were battling injuries the last 3 weeks. That's why you weren't your sharpest. We saw what it looked like when you were healthy, and we need you back next year, bruh. So make sure you attack this recovery process with vigor, and you get ready to come back and be what we need you to be next year, because you're one of the few young players that we feel like we can hang our hat on moving forward. So speedy recovery to the young fella, man. Prayers up for him. But what would it be? What would a Commanders game and a day after be without some more gloom and doom news from an injury standpoint? I mean, the question isn't if somebody's getting hurt. It's who and for how long and how severe of an injury it is. 2025 can't be over fast enough. This bye week, I'm jonesing for this shit. I'm fiending. I'm scratching like Tyrone Biggums for this bye week, man. I'm praying that nobody gets hurt during the bye. Because as of right now, somebody is liable to slip at home coming down the steps. That's how bad our shit is right now. Somebody is liable to cough and mess up their oblique muscle. That's how our shit's going right now. Someone laughed too hard over Thanksgiving dinner and they ruptured and split their damn oblique muscle. We can't catch a break. He then talked about Joe Whitt's new role, which was undefined, just kind of like he's going to help defensively. He's going back up to the booth because he should have never come down in the first place, right? Like, what is Joe on the sideline? You know what Joe did yesterday? What the one thing he did? He talked to Javon Kinlaw after he picked up an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. That was Joe's contribution to being down on the sideline yesterday. It wasn't calling plays defensively that were effective. So Joe's going back where he belongs, up in the booth where he can be more of a service, right? But ultimately, this isn't about Joe. I think personally what I would have done is reassign him. You the defensive, backs coach. Right? I don't even know the name of our DB's coach, but he's ass. Right? And again, I'm sorry, guy, but this defensive backs group, basic as hell. And we could do so much better. So I would have taken Joe and said, look, this is what you thrive at. So I'm going to put you back where you belong. And I'm going to take over the play calling. But Joe's going to help out around the building, around the defense. He's going to be up in the booth helping, with personnel and things of that nature, substitutions, and seeing what he sees up there to help Dan make calls. So that's his new role moving forward. He then talked about the conversation he had with Deron Payne today. He said he had a conversation with Deron. Obviously, I already told you guys this. You found this out this morning. We all did, that Deron was being suspended a game for his punch that he threw. That did connect with Amon-Ra St. Brown yesterday of the Detroit Lions. We kind of all saw that coming. Like, you can't throw a punch that blatantly and not be suspended a game. So he basically told Deron, hey, bro, you got to put the team ahead of yourself there. Like, the team comes first. You can't hurt the team. The team has to be at the top of the pile. You lost your cool. And DQ gets it, man. He's like, what you saw yesterday is a boiling over of frustration from the players. And he's like, everybody's frustrated, but you have to keep your cool. You cannot have your frustration come out in that way, which he's right. You know what I mean? And again, I gotta always say, I don't know the circumstances, because I can't sit here and say that I would be able to keep my cool if somebody slapped me or mushed me or punched me in my face first. I don't know what happened. I can only go off of what I've been told. Now, what my eyes saw is Deron cold cocked the man, but that ain't even how Deron moved. Deron is a fiery guy. He can be, but he ain't just hitting dudes for no reason. So, again, I got to assume something was done. Now, it might not have been where he was hit first. He might have just said something and Deron just lost his shit. But either way, Deron got caught. So that was his conversation. He said Deron is appealing the suspension. His ass ain't winning. We won last week with the Frankie joint. Deron ain't winning this shit. And as of right now, Deron is not going with the team. And I told the Commanders Kings in our group text, either Deron made a very big mistake or this man put in his PTO before holiday vacation. Either way, Deron Payne ain't going to Madrid. And either he's a smart ass dude for putting in PTO before a bye week. Like, shit, let me get 2 weeks off. F this shit. I don't give a damn. Let me get 2 weeks off. This is the equivalent of you knowing, hey, we off Monday and Tuesday. I'm going to just put in some PTO for Friday. Normally, jobs frown upon that type of behavior. Nah, you can't be off on the Friday before a 3-day holiday weekend. Well, you was like, I don't give a shit. I'm on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I'm turning this bitch into a 5-day vacay. I'm getting away. Either Deron was extremely smart for doing that, or he was extremely dumb because you just missed an opportunity. If he wanted to go to Madrid, you just missed the opportunity to go to Madrid. I don't know if he gave a shit, but either way, his ass ain't going to Madrid. He then, speaking of going to Madrid, he was then asked about, well, who's going? Can Deron go still if he's suspended? No, he can't go. And so DQ said he would essentially have to win his appeal by 4 o'clock today. That's when the wheels were up. He wasn't winning. He's not winning an appeal anyway. And they weren't going to handle that appeal so he could make the trip with the team. They don't give a shit. They usually handle these appeals on Tuesday, Wednesdays. So he's not going with the team. He said that Terry is going with the team, but that Jaden is not. I'm surprised. I really thought the reason they'd have been put Terry or Jaden on IRs because both wanted to go to Madrid. Terry will be with the team on the trip to Madrid, but he's not playing. Jaden will not be going on the trip. I am surprised. It might have to do with his injury, not wanting it to be elevated in elevation for that long. I think it might be more injury centered and in that nature more so than it being that they don't want him on the trip. They want Jaden there. So I think this is more of an injury situation from a healing standpoint. It's not good for him to be on that plane, blood clots and all that type of stuff. I don't think he had a surgery or anything like that, but you just never know. Swelling purposes, all of that. So they probably just say that kind of length of a flight, he just doesn't need to be on it. He talked about the Lions lost and the impact on Jaden, meaning like with this loss, another ass whooping, you're now 3-7, your season's done, which it was done last week against Seattle. But, does this change your thought process on Jaden and whether it makes any sense to bring him back? And of course, he was like, nah, I don't have no bearing on that. We haven't gotten to that point. We'll reassess his situation. And then this is when I say, oh, shit, DQ's desperate. He's like, man, Jaden heals fast. I'm like, I ain't find that shit funny. They bringing him back after the bye, bro. Oh, man. DQ's really trying to end this losing streak, bro. Hey, look, I've seen dudes end seasons with 13-game losing streaks. That shit gets you fired. I get it. I get it. He talked about the play calling duties and what it's going to look like and what he expects to see from this. And I'm like, DQ, bro. I don't know if you made the right decision, bro. I'm like, I don't see this shit getting better. And he's like, I want to see better execution. And I'm like, DQ, bro. You going into a gunfight with acorns, bro. You going into a gunfight with pillows. I don't know, bro. Like, it's not safe. It ain't safe. It ain't safe. It ain't safe. It ain't safe, bro. You sure you want to do this? Man, we got some really good candidates standing right over here, bro. You know what? Tommy Donatel, your defensive backs coach. Make him the defensive coordinator. Get him the hell out of here. Pack his ass up. Make him the sacrificial lamb. Hey, Tommy, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, man. That's the second time I done came at you sideways for no reason. You ain't done nothing, man. Yet you catching strays today. My bad, Tommy. But somebody's got to take this, right? Someone's got to take these strays. You had options, bro. You could have ascended someone else that is useless right now, made them the scapegoat, and then took over next year. But okay, you said we're going to see better execution. All right. You said they're going to hold you to this. And they're going to be asking them same dumbass questions after the shit looks the exact same way after the Miami game, heading into the bye. And all you're going to be able to say is, we're going to go over this bye week. We're going to, this man is searching, bro. Searching. He is searching for some answers. He don't have none. He ain't going to magically start calling the plays and these shits just start working now. He don't have a Midas touch. Marcus Mariota said yesterday in his press conference after the game, and this is some profound shit. This is what you get from a veteran. Veterans on NFL rosters who have that long tenure, they are like old people who reach a certain age. When you get to that golden age where you can say whatever the hell you want out of your mouth, no one's going to say anything to you. Because you've reached that point where I can say whatever I want. Marcus Mariota is at that stage of his career. You've seen his hair, right? He's at that stage of his career where Marcus can just speak brutally honestly and no one's going to say anything. So after the game yesterday, Marcus says, we got to look in the mirror, man. And we got to be honest with ourselves. We got to be truthful. And his quote was, quote, we aren't who we think we are. Close quote. And he said it with a smile. He said it with a Coke and a smile. And he said, I'm serious. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's 1,000% correct. We thought we were something else that we weren't. We thought we were tough guys. DQ lied to us. He lied to the fan base. But more importantly, forget about us. Forget about us. He lied to the team. He told them they were a locker room full of bad mother. He lied. It's important to be honest with your kids. It's important to be honest with your friends and your loved ones. Because if you can't do it, then who can? He lied to them in that locker room. He told them they were a bunch of bad mother. And they're not. And they thought that they were. And so they went out every week expecting other teams to respect them as a bad mother. And they not BMFs. And they got their lunch money taken every week. Taken. Got their lunch money taken every single week. They thought they were bullies, but they was the ones getting themselves hung upside down by their ankles and getting their change and loose change and dollar bills shooken from their pockets or shaken. Marcus said, we got to look in the mirror and realize nobody's afraid of us. We're not who we thought we were, or we're not who we think we are. We some little pussycats. Those are the dogs over there. Every opponent looks at us like food now. We're meow, 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 meow. That's us. And DQ taking over the play calling ain't going to change that. That's why I feel bad for him. And then the last question of the press conference was essentially, why isn't the Brotherhood lifting up the team like it did last year? And again, DQ don't have the answers, bro. I feel bad because he's searching for answers that he don't have. He's exhausted everything he could think of to try to turn this thing around. He's shocked that we're where we are right now. He's shocked. He didn't see this shit coming at all. He didn't see it coming. He got blindsided by this season. We all did. Shit. You think you surprised? We was talking about going to Levi Stadium in February. We were making plans. You think you surprised? Shit. What you think the fan base is? We out here looking crazy in these streets. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section and then we'll get out of here. Loser, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Loser writes, DQ 0-7 versus Shanny Disciples since 2021. Miami, San Francisco, Green Bay will make it 0-8. Okay, make it 0-8. He's always had issues with the Shanahans. We've talked about this. Is well documented. Well documented. We saw that in Green Bay earlier this season, and then we saw it in Dallas when Matt LaFleur went to Dallas in the playoffs. And it's usually not close. They know his tendencies. They're able to dissect his defenses and pick them apart with ease. So, yeah, this is we know how bad Dallas used to look every time they played San Francisco, right? How bad Dallas would look every time they played Green Bay, right? When he was there. It's no different. We already know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be nasty again. So make it 0-8, loser. CGM 87, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. CGM 87 writes, Lou, if 3 to 5 wins, what percentage you think DQ is back in 2026? Okay, the only way he gets fired is if we don't win another game this season. So the number is 3. If we win one game, let's say we beat the Giants in week 15, he's not getting fired. You just can't end the season on a 12-game losing streak. That'll get you fired. That'll get you fired. So he's got to win a game. You break that losing streak, whether that's the Dolphins, the Vikings, whatever it is, he got to win a game somewhere in there. If it's 4, if the number's 4 or 5, he's back next year. If the number's 3, winning wise, he might. There's a chance. I'm not guaranteeing you he's fired, but there's a very significant chance that he is fired, because if I'm ownership, I could look at that as a sign that the team quit on you. So this is why DQ is so desperate to win. He realizes that, he waited for this opportunity. We heard him last year talk about how big of an opportunity it was and how he wasn't going to miss this time around. And he sees this shit slipping away. He's desperate. This shit went from, I nailed it the second time, I got it, to, uh-oh, what the hell's going on? He's panicking right now. So I would put the percentage at 5%. He's back if this team doesn't win another game this season. 10%. 5 is too low. 10%. I think that number at 4 is up to 25%. And as a matter of fact, 40% at 4. So you know what? Let me raise it all the way up. 20% at 3, because I still think there's a significant chance he's back, even if they don't win another game. But I'll put it at 20%. At 4 wins, it's 50%. It could go either way. 4 is still rough. 5, I'd put it at 90%. He's back. Like he's going to be back at 5 wins. Silver Fox, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Ford, Silver Fox, Ford writes, Lou, did you catch that DQ said the word weak twice in regard to Joe Whitt Jr. helping? Is that a clue that Joe Whitt Jr. will be gone during the bye if DQ is successful? I don't think he's getting rid of him. I heard him say that, but if you were going to fire him, you don't need to wait to the bye to do that. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to get rid of him, just get rid of him. The bye week doesn't change anything within the building. If Joe Whitt Jr. is not calling the plays, then, them moving on from him at the bye week isn't going to change anything versus moving on from him the week before the bye, right? If I'm Josh Harris, I would rather you not send him. That's one less guy I got to pay for to get on his flight, to have lodging for, to pay for, to eat and all that shit. I'd rather you get rid of him right now if that's the case. Don't wait till we come back. So I don't think he'll be gone. DQ, that's his guy. And I think it's going to remain his guy. He's not going anywhere. Braxton White, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Braxton writes, since C-Rob is out, do we elevate Donovan Edwards? I keep trying to tell y'all this. They're not going to go straight to the young fella. They're going to go to Chase Edmonds, a guy that is comfortable in Cliff's scheme. Now, his role is a lot closer to that of a J-Mac or Austin Eckler, but I still think that's where they would go if they were going to go to a running back. If they're going to pull somebody off the practice squad at running back, it would be more so Chase Edmonds than it would be Donovan Edwards. I know you guys want to see some of these young players. I'm just telling y'all where their head's at, okay? They're not going to replace a veteran with another young guy. That's just not where they're at right now. I would love it to be, but I don't think that's. And we don't know if C-Rod's out either, right? He just didn't come back in the game. I would assume he'll be on that flight with them going out to Madrid. And, if he can go, he'll go. If he can't, he won't, right? But I wouldn't be looking for Donovan Edwards. I'm just telling y'all right now. I'd be shocked. It's not out of the realm of possibility that they elevate him. I'd be shocked, though, if they did. Video channel, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Video channel, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, Lou, man, Terry can't show for home games, but good for a trip to Spain. All this ish is off. Yeah, again, look, Terry hasn't been to a game that he hasn't been playing in all season. Like, I'm not going to make it a big deal. He didn't come to the preseason game. when, you know, in the summertime, like we've had games this season at home in which Terry wasn't there on the sidelines. Why are we making a big deal out of it now? Like, this might be his thing. I don't want to be at the game if I'm not playing. Some guys are like that. Some guys want to be a part of the action. They like Terry said this already this season. I've never been injured. I don't really know how to handle this shit. And maybe him standing on the sidelines, watching his guys go to battle and not being able to be out there is something that he's not really truly comfortable doing. Like, I can't be there watching my guys struggle, knowing I can help, and I can't be out there. That mentally, that does something to me. I can't be on the sidelines for that shit. Like, we don't know. I don't care personally, video channel. I guess that's my way of telling you, I don't really give a shit. Like, but again, this is what happens when you're losing to the extent that we're losing. Everything becomes an annoyance. Everything is open to interpretation. And now no rock, no stone is left unturned. We got people complaining about weekly captains. We got people complaining about, you know, this challenge and having this rotation and this guy being like, everything is up for debate. We're looking at every little thing, nothing safe. And so now we're criticizing whether a guy's on the sidelines when he's injured or not. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, video channel. And this is no knock at you or no disrespect to you. I don't care. Yeah, I don't. But you might be on some Russell Westbrook. That's the problem. I don't care. That's the problem. I will say this. All of this shit is off. DQ has even said that himself. All this shit is off. You're not wrong about that. Barrett Downing, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, BD, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Whit came down, so I guess he should call plays from the parking lot at this point. It would be just as effective. Not even seeing what's happening on the field and making the play calls. It would be just as effective. Nothing would change, right? He might as well be making these play calls from his house, not watching the game. It'd be the same results, okay? Random call. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Random call writes, I really feel like Senate limited play has more to do with politics and Cliff relationship with Ertz. No ability because in limited play, Senate pops on film. And that could be it too. This is why, you know, I've said this over and over again. You've got veterans here that have ties to guys. Bobby Wagner has ties to DQ and his linebackers coach, Ken Norton Jr. They're not going to, like, they respect these guys too much to sit them down, right? Like, they don't even like telling Bobby no. Bobby, to be honest with you, Bobby sort of runs shit defensively. And for good reason. Like Marcus Mariota said, Bobby gave a speech at halftime. Not that the shit worked, but, you know, Bobby's the guy that's always trying to rally the troops. He's the voice of reason. But Bobby determines when he comes in and out of the game. Like, we getting our asses whooped, and Bobby play 100% of the snaps regardless. Whether we whooping ass or getting our ass whooped, Bobby play 100% of the snaps. Why is that? You can take every other veteran out of the game except Bobby. Why? Because Bobby runs shit. Bobby tell them, I'm not coming out of the game. And they say, all right, Bobby, you stay in there. They want to give Bobby practices off. Bobby say, nah, I'm not taking no practices off. Who running this shit anyway? But but Bobby said, I need the practice reps. I need to do more, not less, if I am to keep myself in tip-top shape. Cool. Then you can practice. But if we get into a game situation and I decide enough's enough, you got to come out. Bobby telling them, no, I'm not coming out the game. And when they do take him out, he throw a bitch fit. So how is that supposed to translate to being able to say, Bobby, we going to go with the young fella? I don't know how Bobby's going to take that. I don't know if Bobby's going to take that at all. Or if they're even comfortable enough doing that. And Ertz ain't that type of guy. He's not a volatile guy. He's not someone that will become hostile if you say, hey, we're going to go with the young fella. But he want to play. He want to play. So you might be right about that. There may be politics involved in why Sennate's not playing. I just, as a fan, we want to see Ben Sinnott get more of an opportunity because that's a second-round pick. We're trying to justify the actions of our general manager right now. We're struggling with some of these selections. We just need to know that he didn't make a mistake. Swaggy P, been a member for 36 months. Salute to you. And congrats on your 3-year Annie. Need the remote from Click to fast forward to 2026. Don't we all? We need the remote, bro. We need it right now. I'm so over 2025 season. I so am. So I'm over this shit. June TV, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, hey Lou, did you know Charlie Wilson was on the track Computer Love? Yes, I did. Hashtag MusicHead University. That's who voice you hear when they say computer love. Yeah, computer love. Who you think voice that is? That's Charlie Wilson. You didn't know that? Yeah. Bet you didn't know this. No, I'm not going to say that. You probably did know that. Base for Zion charity. And I want to turn this into a MusicHead University episode because you can send me down that road very quickly. You very well can. Base for Zion charity. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes? He says, we effing suck. Yes, we do. Unfortunately, we have no guys with bad intentions on defense. Too weak tackling due to it. Cockeyed Joe trash and gotta go. Jaden saved the defense all last year. For real. Okay, let's not call names. Okay. All right. I guess I'm guilty. I called Dan Quinn, crystal ball head earlier. So I'm guilty too. We have to stop calling names. I know we're upset. We're frustrated a little bit, but cockeyed Joe is rough. Come on now. Behave yourself. Be nice. Okay. But you're not wrong. Everything you said here is spot on accurate. We don't have any guy like we got guys with bad intentions, like Jeremy Reeves. Every time he hits somebody, he's trying to knock them into another dimension, right? But he's not forcing any turnovers. Guys come up like Frankie Louvu flies around like he just misses the tackle, right? He's playing with bad intentions. The result just never ends up being good for us. But we don't have any dogs who are looking to pry man away from ball. We'll go in there and we'll reach in and try to long. Like, that guy's you're not pulling the ball away from him like that. Punch the bitch out. We got 6 guys standing up a dude and we're like, that's not the move, bro. If somebody's got him, you come in and bow. That's how you get it out. But no, we're going to reach it. Oh, we're going to reach in there and we're going to pull it out. We so ass. We so basic on defense. It's just, I watch too many games every week and see guys force turnovers to be, that's a simple move. It's a simple act. Why can't we do that? It's a mentality, guys and gals. It's a mentality. It's up here. Either you got it or you don't. You can coach it all you want. It's either that's in your DNA. That's embedded in you to go get the football or it ain't. That's why some guys have a knack at forcing turnovers and others don't. Because our guys don't even think about punching the ball out. I got to go make the tackle. That's what they're thinking about. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Commanders Nightly News. I look forward to reaching out to the fellas, figuring out, nailing down a specific day for Commanders Kings and locking in whether or not we're going to be live. If we're going to be live for the Madrid game on the Commanders Kings channel, that would be pretty dope. So I'm going to find out what's what, and I'll report that back to you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, we do have a family member participating in the game. Not that it matters to you at this point, not like we're in a heated divisional race or anything like that. So you may not care about the Eagles playing tonight, but I do. I'm a football fan. Y'all know, you know what it is. And so I will definitely be watching that game tonight, and I will be live after that game. And hopefully you'll join me after tonight's game. Packers, Eagles. That's a big time matchup. We're going to see a lot of Philadelphia over the next month. They are Monday Night Football tonight, Sunday night next week. Big matchup, Lions and Eagles. That's going to be fun. And then 2 weeks after that, they've got the Black Friday game against the Chicago Bears. So they're playing 3 games over the next 4 weeks against NFC North opponents with a chance to sweep that entire division. They've already beaten Minnesota. Now they get Green Bay. This is going to be the toughest, I think, of the 4, right, to get. This is the last time they'll be on the road in against the NFC North. They get this one. I think they're going to beat both Chicago and Detroit at home. So this is a big one. This is a big one. Should be a lot of fun. And I will be live once it meets its conclusion. Again, not that you necessarily care, but I do. And hopefully you'll join me too. But in any event, that's going to do it for me. Your man, Louie T, here on. Hold on a second. Okay. Yeah, I just make sure that I wasn't missing. I see a comment on my screen. I don't know if that already happened. Okay, yeah, that already happened. Cool beans. So anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will get at you guys a little bit later on. And take care. You know. Hey, one more game, and then we finally, mercifully, are on a bye. You just got to get through this Madrid week. You just got to get through this Madrid week. And then we're almost at the finish line. Almost at the finish line. Hang in there. You can do it. You can do it. Peace.